Welcome to another episode of the Legacy Building Leaders TV show, where we feature men and women who are game changers and solution providers. In today's episode, we are joined by Mrs. Chiedza Juru, the Chief Operating Officer for High Life Foundation and the Chairperson of the Zimbabwe Youth Council.
My father was the most educated person in his family, and he always valued ensuring that we got an education. My mother was a teacher and very strict, I must say, but with such a great heart. And I remember nobody would ever come to our house and leave empty-handed. I grew up in Masvingo, a very small city, a city girl that had great dreams. And I remember I used to believe I could achieve all my dreams until my father passed away in 2004. A very dark day that we went through, a day that I almost thought I would not be able to fulfill my dreams. Thank God, a few years later, through the Higher Life Foundation scholarship, I was awarded the Joshua Nkomo Scholarship for academically gifted students after scooping the best O-level results in Masvingo. And it is through this scholarship that my world began to change. A world of opportunities was opened up to me. And I learned so many aspects of leadership through the lessons we used to have during the school holidays. The Joshua Nkomo Scholarship emphasized on leadership, it emphasized on community building, and it emphasized on academic excellence. And so in high school, I was appointed head girl, I became president of debate, I was a sports captain, and I remember I got that confidence from the trainings that we used to get. And then began to take up leadership roles and then look at how I can improve the situation in my school by participating in different clubs and extracurricular activities. And as I transitioned, I went on to Africa University. While I pursued my education in university, I also took time to be involved in the community and to take up leadership roles so that I would grow, I would be able to volunteer. So I became a sub-warden and head of sub-wardens. I also joined Inectus, which basically works with communities to empower them. And I also became an ambassador of the university to usher in guests and represent guests when they come in at the institution. And that didn't derail me from being able to pursue my academic goals because I still was able to graduate as the best graduating student with the highest CGPA. And I remember the words of my professor, then professor, who is Professor Fanuel Tagwira. On my graduation day, he said some profound words that we should never forget the community. We must always carry the community with us as we pursue our own dreams. And so I took that with me. And then after qualifying as a chartered accountant, I moved on to Higher Life Foundation, where I became finance manager. And that for me was a choice to now step into my passion, which is impacting communities. I remember being so afraid to transition to Higher Life Foundation to become a finance manager because it meant being the youngest. It meant being the only female sitting on the management table. And I had moments where I felt insecure or thought I couldn't do it. But I kept on pressing on. And then I was later promoted 2 years later to general manager at Star Leadership Academy. There I transitioned out of core finance, getting into programming, into working with young people. And Star Leadership Academy basically helps young people by equipping them with leadership skills so that they can transform their communities. 2 years later, I was also then promoted to head of education, taking care of 15,000 orphaned and vulnerable children and academically gifted children who are part of the High Life Foundation scholarships, also developing leadership and mentorship programs for them so that we build well-rounded students. And this High Life Foundation operates in Zimbabwe. It operates in Lesotho as well as in Burundi. And then most recently, I was appointed Chief Operating Officer for programs at High Life Foundation, where I'm basically responsible for the implementation of all our programs from the education pillar, from the rural transformation and sustainable livelihood pillar, as well as programs that we run in the health pillar. And so that's my professional journey, which a lot of times has been coupled with having to face the barriers that young people face and that women face, but soldiering on. Because I was so passionate about the community, as I pursued my professional journey, I also decided to start organizations that would help me impact the community. And when I look at the impact that High Life Foundation had on me, Mr. and Mrs. Masiwa basically gave to me and to thousands of students that they've never met, and that changed my life. So together with other beneficiaries who are alumni of the High Life Foundation Scholarship, we founded Destiny Scholarship. And one of them is my husband, who's also an alumni of the High Life Foundation Scholarship. And with this scholarship, we help rural students get access to education. We feel that we must do more and catalyze the work that has been started by Higher Life and also transform our own communities. And during my journey as I was qualifying as a chartered accountant, I also realized some students can't afford to become chartered accountants. And so together with another alumni of the High Life Foundation Scholarship, we founded, and together with the Institute of Chartered Accountants, the Vimbiso Scholarship, which helps young people who want to become CAs with access to education and mentorship. I went on to join the Global Shapers because I wanted to have more young people participate in economic issues and social issues, and I became the curator of the Global Shapers in 2018, and that forum helped us to gather young people and give them a table with policymakers, with ministers, including the first meeting for young people and the president of Zimbabwe, His Excellency, Comrade Mnangagwa, just to make sure that young people are involved and are also participating. Most recently, I was appointed the chairperson of the Zimbabwe Youth Council by the Honorable Minister, Dr. Kirsty Coventry, and the purpose of the Zimbabwe Youth Council is to advise the government on the needs of youth and ensure that young people are empowered, young people are participating economically, socially, and politically. And so from my journey, what's been so critical is just how you need to build a legacy by carrying the community with you and being relevant in terms of your skills to a greater audience through servant leadership.
Legacy building leadership starts at an early age. And so we've heard the story of the legacy building leadership story of Chiedza from her early age all the way to a position as Chief Operating Officer for Higher Life Foundation. At the heart of Chiedza Juru's legacy is the impact and influence on young people. In the next segment, Chiedza is going to be interacting with two learners from Churchill High School.
Hi ma'am, my name is Marlon Kuriro, and generally I'm a natural leader as I am the current head boy of Churchill Boys High. I also play rugby and I'm the Bulldogs captain. So my question to you is, what's the secret to achieving so much and becoming recognized at such a young age?
Thank you, Marlon. It's a pleasure to meet you. So for me, I think the secret to be able to achieve a lot, firstly, I'm a Christian. So the first most important thing for me was having a relationship with God and walking my journey with God. The second thing for me is working hard and being disciplined. It's just amazing how for you to be able to achieve anything, you need to be consistent and you need to work hard. And sometimes there are times when you don't feel like working, but you just have to do it because that's what consistency is and that's what discipline is. The third thing that I'll mention is being able to impact beyond just your personal achievements and look at how you can help the community, because they give you the first work experience you'll ever have, and then they also teach you important lessons about why your success must also be about impacting and helping other communities. The fourth thing is having a plan and being able to have your vision and write it down, because if you don't have a vision, you're not going to be able to know what you're chasing, and the wind can carry you in any direction. Lastly, what I would say is you must always have a mentor. Now, remember, when I was your age, I also had people that were where I wanted to be, that I would ask and get guidance from. And even at the level where I am, I've got, I stand on the shoulders of giants and also mentor others. I also mentor other people, and you get an opportunity to learn as well from the younger generation. And so being mentored and mentoring to impart also what you're learning to others really will help you to go far.
My name is Chiedza Mbofana, the current Church School Vice Head Boy, the Toastmasters International President, the Current Affairs President, and then the Script Training Secretary. So my first question is, community development characterizes your legacy. I would like to know the key roles of the youth in contributing positively in their societies.
Thank you, Tafadzwa. It's great to meet you, and well done on all the responsibilities that you have at your school. In terms of the role of youth, they play a very significant role in strengthening and building their communities. Firstly, young people have got unique skills. Young people are creative. They are tech savvy, very good with technology, agile. They've got so much zeal and energy to be able to solve things or come up with initiatives. You'll find that during the COVID-19 pandemic, which was a national pandemic that affected and led to a lot of children being out of school, there's a young man called Truman Mabambo, who's an alumni of Star Leadership Academy, who created an innovation called Dzidzo Padeni. And it's a chat box that just has got curriculum that's aligned to the ZIMSEC curriculum endorsed by the Ministry of Education. He partnered with UNESCO, and he was basically trying to help kids that are not in school, but that don't have enough data and are not on remote learning platforms to continue to learn from home. So the role of young people is to solve the problems that are in your communities.
Thank you, ma'am. So my second question is, how best can you advise young children who are seeking to acquire educational and empowerment opportunities on how to improve themselves?
Okay. I think for young people, first and foremost, we are the majority in terms of the population. 70% of Zimbabweans are young people. They're below the age of 35. And the same statistics show in Africa. And so because we're the majority of the population, we really need to find ways in which we can participate and be involved in shaping our nation. As young people, we need to be well read. We need to look for the information, because when you have information, it gives you the capacity for you to participate or for you to be able to access an opportunity. So for example, how many young people read or know about the National Youth Policy and the rights of young people, what's said in the policy? How many young people have read the Constitution and know what Section 20 of the Constitution says about the rights of young people? When you look at nationally, currently, we speak of the National Development Strategy, right? Which is the vision we have as a country that's supposed to take us to Vision 2030. How many young people have read that document and understood where the opportunities are, so that you're able to then say, I can actually step in and do this and that? And so one of the things that the Ministry of Youth has done is they've recognized that opportunities for youth are across different sectors. And so through a program with other ministries, they've opened youth focal desks. So if you love agriculture, for example, you're able to go to the Ministry of Education and go to the youth department and ask about what are the opportunities that are there. I'd like to do this. If you love mining, or if you love business, you have to be able to go there and speak to them. But it starts with you, because the information is not going to come to you.
So my second question is, there's so much stereotyping concerning your age and gender as a leader. How have you managed that in a positive way?
Oh, well, that's an interesting one, because I think for the greater part of my journey, I've always been the youngest, whether it's the youngest sitting on the management table, senior management, or in class. Back in high school, I was always the youngest. At times where people think because you're young, you've got nothing to offer, or because you're young, you still need to do time and you need to grow up. And so it really calls for a lot of strength of character and just belief in yourself. The first thing for me is your destiny. should be too important for you to not quit no matter what. The second thing for me has been being able to build a support structure because there's so many responsibilities and so many challenges that you'll be facing, you know, in those responsibilities. So family is very important. And for me, I've got a very supportive husband, and he's the first person that will tell me, you're not going to quit. And my sister, my mom, those people around me are a very strong support structure that helped me. The third thing that has been very helpful, I spoke about the importance of you to have a mentor and for you to mentor somebody. And so I've also have incredible mentors that hold my hand and that tell me, keep going. And when I look at their own challenges and where they are, I tell myself, who am I to quit?
It is very clear that Chiedza Juru's legacy has to do with the impact on young people, as she's doing at Higher Life Foundation and at the Zimbabwe Youth Council, as we have seen in an interaction with the two learners who are leaders at Churchill High School. In the last segment of the TV show, we are going to engage and interact with Chiedza Juru as she gives details of the defining features and lessons from a legacy building leadership journey. So Chiedza, your leadership story is truly inspirational. But let's look at your beginnings. What are some of the major lessons, leadership lessons you learned, from your family, your upbringing, because you referred back to your parents, how strict they were?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Mumhari, and thank you for those very kind words. I think I would say that my upbringing was, my parents were very strict. I mentioned my mother was a teacher, and so when you're a teacher's child, discipline is definitely one of the non-negotiables. My father served in the military. Discipline is even worse in the military. There were strict rules that could not be broken for whatever reason. My parents always taught us to be principled and to be able to follow through on our promises or whatever we're supposed to do. Never look down upon anyone. We should be the one that extends a hand whenever we encounter somebody that needs help. So I think those early lessons really taught me to be disciplined, to be hardworking, and to not give up no matter what challenge I face. Even as I'm pursuing my own journey, I must see who I can help and pull up along the way so that it's not just your own journey.
So maybe it brings us to the issue of character and leadership. What in your view is the place of character? And how can, young people out there, to form that foundation? Now, we talk of a whole lot of character challenges that are affecting young people.
You mentioned a very important point. Character is everything. And I always say that your gifts and talents can take you to the top, but what will keep you there is your character. And so it's very important to shape your character and to have the right values. And like you rightly said, a lot of the initial values are formed in your childhood and the people that surround you, the things that they teach you. So for me, one of the things that my father used to make sure we did was go to church every Sunday, whether we liked it or not. Sometimes we would go, we'd be so upset, we'd be sleeping in church, but you are going to go to church. And so he raised us biblically from the very onset and taught us what the Word of God says about us. And so we began to draw our values, our character from what the Word of God says. It helps you to take on leadership as we learn it from Jesus Christ. So for me, that is servant leadership, where if you end up in a leadership position, you are there to look out for the needs of others and not necessarily to enrich yourself and to just look at what your needs are.
And let's look at your career. What made you choose your career path? And I'm thinking, when you think of leadership, it also starts with that career decision. And how does that relate to purpose? What made you choose to become an accountant? And you are now a chartered accountant.
Okay, well, it dates back to a very funny story when I was When I was young, I think I must have been in grade 2, I used to love to play with paper. I would turn it into money, and I would be writing stuff out and just imagine myself dealing with money. So I think from a tender age, those were the early signs of I'm going to be an accountant. But I think growing up again, getting into high school and getting career guidance, I think for me, I wanted to understand numbers. I wanted to understand how money works, because in any organization, in any institution, money makes everything run. And so because I was fortunate enough through the programs that I went through at High Life Foundation as a scholarship recipient, it really helped me to be able to identify my purpose and to find myself choosing accounting as a career.
And I notice your leadership journey, your star continues to rise. You have talked of how you have been promoted from one level to another. What do you think accounts for that? And I'm just thinking of a number of young, emerging leaders, professionals out there. What would you think is the lesson that you'd want to share with them that will help them to rise, in their own leadership journeys?
I think firstly, it's like being clear of what your purpose is, and being very, very keen and not stopping at anything in terms of achieving your purpose and your destiny. And so that clarity of where am I going, where is God, what does God want me to achieve, and how do I do that, and what legacy do I want to leave, and being able to channel yourself in organizations that really help you fulfill your purpose means that whatever work you do, you serve as unto the Lord, knowing that I'm on the path that the Lord has called me for. And then secondly, for me, it's hard work and discipline. Now, working hard is not easy. There are days where you don't want, or where you're tired. But the discipline, if you look at athletes, they have to be disciplined for them to be able to succeed continuously. The third thing is just not quitting or not fleeing at the first sign of trouble. Because everybody wants to be in a place where things are a lot easier, where there's a bit of, oh no, things are stable. People don't like change or things that just rock the boat. But you've got to be able to be agile and to be able to fight even when you face challenges and not give up.
When all is said and done, Chiedza, as a legacy building leader, what would you want to be remembered for?
Great question. I would want to be remembered for transforming the lives of young people through education and through creating opportunities for young people to participate and to be able to have seats at the table. And I think that resonates a lot with some of the initiatives that I'm currently involved in. Serving at High Life Foundation allows me to be part of a big vision to ensure access to education to students across Zimbabwe, across Africa, and even the scholarships that I'm part of, that I sit as trustee or founder. It's all to do with let's help every child to get education, because from education, we're able to transform the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chiedza.
Sure.
And all the best in your journey.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mumhari.
From today's episode, it was very evident one doesn't have to be a senior citizen to become a legacy building leader. As we have listened to the legacy building leadership story of Chiedza Juru, who is making a huge impact as a legacy building leader, as a woman leader at a much younger age in her life. If you know of anyone out there whose story is inspirational and can also influence others to become legacy building leaders, please get in touch with us. Look forward to having you in our next show next Friday at 5:30. My name is Dr. Charles Mugaviri.